Leonard Ravenhill's book, Why Revival Tarries, depending on who you ask, it's a spiritual classic, a prophetic warning, or just a deeply uncomfortable read. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack the fiery message at the heart of this really influential book. You know, to really get a handle on the urgent, almost aggressive message of this book, the best place to start is actually the foreword. It was written by another giant of 20th century Christian thought, A.W. Tozer, and believe me, it perfectly sets the stage for the challenge that's coming. Tozer kicks things off with this fantastic analogy. He says, picture a massive industrial factory, right? Everything's humming along smoothly. But then, a critical machine just grinds to a halt. You don't call a regular line worker, no, you call in a specialist, someone who's uniquely equipped to handle that breakdown. And that right there, that is the absolute core of Tozer's argument. He suggests that this industrial model has a direct parallel in the spiritual world, that God also has his own breakdown specialists. See, he says, you've got thousands of ordinary pastors and teachers, and they're all working quietly, maintaining the spiritual life of the church during normal times. But these specialists, they're different. They seem to appear almost out of nowhere, and it's always in a time of crisis, when the church itself seems to have completely lost its way. And the contrast here is just night and day. A regular pastor is there to maintain the system, right? They're focused on normal, day-to-day operations. But the specialist? Totally different. They are there only to correct a breakdown. Tozer says they have an instinct for trouble, and that's all they can see. And this isn't just some abstract idea Tozer's throwing out there. He points straight to figures from the Bible. You've got Elijah confronting the false prophets on Mount Carmel, or Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, who warned everyone about impending doom. I mean, these were not guys who were worried about the status quo. They were sent to reprove and rebuke at the most critical moments in history. So you're probably asking, okay, what does any of this have to do with Leonard Ravenhill, the author of the book? Well, Tozer makes the connection crystal clear. He argues that Ravenhill is one of these specialists for his generation, a man apart. Just look at this list of words. This tells you everything you need to know about the kind of personality we're dealing with. These aren't comforting, gentle figures. No, they are often seen as drastic, radical, even fanatical. And there's a good reason for that. Like Tozer says, their ministry was geared to the emergency. They just don't have time for small talk when they believe the whole house is on fire. And here's the punchline. Tozer is brutally honest about it. He says a man like Ravenhill is not an easy companion. He's supposed to be disruptive. He can't just turn off the burden of the Holy Ghost as one would turn off a faucet. That intensity is what sets him apart. Okay, so all of this is building toward the book's central message. We've got the character of the messenger down, this intense, disruptive specialist. So, what is the urgent message that he's carrying? What is the spiritual emergency that's so bad it requires such a drastic and severe voice? I mean, what is the piece of machinery that is totally broken down in the factory of the church? The answer, the breakdown, it's staring us right in the face. It's the title of the book. Revival, this idea of a huge spiritual awakening, has tarried. It's been delayed. The central crisis, according to Ravenhill, is the absence of this divine intervention in a world and a church that he thinks desperately needs it. And you can just feel this urgency in Ravenhill's own words right from his preface. He's not writing this from some detached academic viewpoint. Oh no. He's writing from a place of deep personal offense. He feels that God is being insulted and the church is being slighted, and he simply cannot stay quiet. This book, this is his sword. So, why? Why does revival tarry? Well, Ravenhill's book is just this relentless diagnosis of what he sees as a sick, compromised church. He goes after apathy, sin in the pulpit, a lack of real holiness. But one of his most central, most fiery arguments is about the nature of prayer itself. Ravenhill quotes the writer E.M. Bounds to make a really powerful point. He's saying you can have all the intelligence, all the eloquence, and all the sophistication in the world, but if it lacks spiritual fire, it's useless. It cannot make up for a genuine, passionate connection with God. The imagery here is just so powerful. For prayer to actually be effective, for it to rise up like incense, it has to have the flame of genuine spiritual passion. Cold, formal, lifeless prayer is, in Ravenhill's view, not really prayer at all. And this is not a call for passive waiting. Quoting John Wesley, the book argues for a kind of aggressive, persistent prayer. The language is almost militant. Storm the throne of grace. It's a call to actually fight for revival, to persevere until an answer finally comes down. So with a message this intense, this uncompromising, it's probably no surprise that the book and the man himself provokes an equally intense reaction. And this is something Tozer predicts right there in the foreword. This might be the most famous line from the whole foreword. There is no middle ground here. You will either love him or you will hate him. The message is literally designed to force a decision, to make any kind of lukewarm response totally impossible. And Tozer lays out the two paths for you, the reader. He basically says you will either close this book and immediately go find a place to pray because you're so convicted and inspired, or you will toss it away in anger, your heart completely closed to its warnings. There is no third option. Tozer then ends his foreword with this incredibly strong endorsement. He doesn't just praise the book's ideas, he validates the author himself. He's saying he believes the book feels like a voice from God precisely because its author, Leonard Ravenhill, is that voice, the breakdown specialist sent for a time of crisis. And so that's the challenge of why revival tarries. Is it a prophetic and necessary word, a wake-up call that we desperately need? Or is it just the extreme negative rants of a fanatic? The book makes its case. And just like Tozer warned, it's impossible to stay neutral. The final decision, well, that's left up to you.